Yo, what is up you guys? I'm back to review for One Piece chapter 830. Now I just did it, finished my live reaction. Now, a couple of things. Number one, the pacing in this chapter overall was relatively quick because by the end, Luffy and the rest of the Straw Hats are already at Whole Cake Island. The whole thing about it, before that we got the flashback with the Jinbei when he's talking to Wadatsumi about going. He's about to leave. His designs to leave Big Mom's crew so he can become an ally of Luffy. So, but here's the problem. Everybody's trying to. It's like you should do what you want, Jinbei. Everybody, the Fishman District. By the way, another Charlotte member family. One of the daughters has been revealed to be one of the mermaids. So if you predicted that, congratulations, because I didn't see that one coming. So, but that's not really the most important part of the chapter. The confrontation the Big Mom that had with Jinbei, one of the biggest parts of the chapter, and it's the last time we see Jinbei before the chapter ends. They're basically saying, he's flat out, he didn't hold anything back. He said, Jinbei's like, Big Mom, I want to leave the crew, I want to go do my own thing, and Big Mom isn't having any of that. He said, "You want to leave the crew, fine, but there's something you need to give me in return." Now, initially, I thought, well, he already gave you the poneglyph, regardless of that. And I'm starting to think, for plot purposes and for time constraints, that has to be the royal poneglyph. And I get because there's a poneglyph, a major discussion in this chapter, and one of them Big Mom's like. She brings out a spin roulette wheel, I suppose, and it looks like in return Jinbei has to offer us something. So I wonder what it's going to be, like a body part or as a soul. I don't know, but it doesn't look good for Jinbei, and that's on Whole Cake Island. So the minute Luffy steps there and finds whatever happens to Jinbei, you know Luffy's going to be pissed. So for those people who are saying that the alliance is going to happen, I don't think so. Plus, you got the explosives that they're going to go in the face the moment they arrive from Luffy. So, I'm curious. Unless, and this something I wanted to point out last week. That a lot of people said, and I think Sawyer said this in his review as well, about the how Big Mom, when she went on the crazed rampage. And by the way, in this chapter, she didn't give a shit about the fact that she kept killed her own son. So he's like, "Oh, could you remove that body, please?" So, a disregard for human life. You know how Luffy doesn't tolerate shit like that. Nor does Jinbei. So, again, but one of the things that Slayer mentioned about the when Big Mom was in a rampage and she had the crazy looking right. I said it'll remind me of the Rinnegan a little bit, but she had like spiral, like the Vince Smoke's mouth eyebrows. Now, there's a couple of theories going that she's hypnotized, and when I go back and read the chapter a couple of chapters ago, when we see Ichini and Niji on Broccoli Island, they've been there for 2 years. Now, I don't know about anybody else, but to me, it seems odd the Big One wouldn't know about that shit, given the fact that her own territory is being decimated, or one of the territories has been decimated for 2 whole years, and there's been a war going on, and you'd think Big Mom would know about that shit. And yet, we're still getting a wedding between the Vince Smokes and the Charlotte family. So that's something shady going on, and like I said, I think the Vince Smokes, what happens next, and I'm going to do a whole separate discussion about that anyway, about the Vince Smokes' roles and Big Mom's abilities, but that's for a whole different video. But for now, I think they're going to be the wild card in this arc, and given the fact that we're already at Whole Cake Island with Luffy and Nami, Chopper and Brook, Pedro and Carrot, but here's the biggest part of the chapter, in my opinion, and we get some more insight on Pedro and what he was doing before when he was on Whole Cake Island. He already mentioned this in the previous chapter, but he got cut short because of that sea creature. We got a little bit more insight, although he's keeping answers. I just keep I said this during my reaction. Live reaction. I'm going to roast his ass because I don't trust him, and I don't trust Pudding at this point in time. There was some truth to what she was saying about you can't really leave Big Mom's family or crew because she doesn't tolerate that shit, and it doesn't matter who you are. She'll eat your ass or she'll take your life. Um, Now here's the thing: when Pedro says, "Oh, I've been here before and I've fallen before," and then he mentions something else about the whole where we got the whole bit about the Rob Poneglyph, the importance of the Rob Poneglyph that point out to the intersection that leads to Rathel. There's a whole part where Pedro says, "Oh, I was shocked to hear that," but then why would he be shocked? And number two, this clarifies two things. Number one, he mentioned something about what will you do after you defeat Kaido. After you defeat Kaido, like, oh, this is a foregone conclusion. Number one, okay, the fact that he said that, okay, Jack, the second in command of Kaido, messed your whole entire race apart on Zou. Inarashi Nekomamushi, the guy you supposedly respect so much, had their limbs missing because they've refused to cough up the whereabouts of Raizo. So why would the aftermath of defeating Kaido, wherever that may happen, why would that matter to Pedro? And to me, I don't know. Maybe I'm overthinking this, but there's something suspicious about what he was saying, and I don't trust him at this point. Now, granted, Oda could do something to twist that, and maybe he has good intentions. But one of the key things he says, and why didn't he mention this sooner? And number one, he says, "Oh, can you buy me some time? I can go get the Rob Poneglyph for you." But my question is this: why would he want to get the Rob Poneglyph? The whole thing, and this is something that Luffy contradicted by saying, "Oh, we were already going to go look for the Poneglyph because we need that Poneglyph to find Raftel eventually." But Robin said, "Oh, can you take notes?" So why would he need the Poneglyph? So again, I don't trust him. I could be wrong, and I know there's a lot of people that may disagree or agree, but there's something suspicious about that. It's not like they have time to spare anyway. They gotta go with Sanji anyway, so it's not like, oh, they could go search for. That's why I think there's not going to be an alliance with Big Mom and Luffy, because if there were going to be an alliance, then the only way they could do that is if the Vince Modes become the antagonist of this arc, and I don't see that happening unless, because Sanji's beef is with them, not with Big Mom. Although Big Mom was kind of threatening Sanji in the first place, so and that's why. I mean, maybe there won't be a fight, and something else about the whole Big Mom's cravings in a rage. I don't know about anybody else, but that seems like a biggest weakness because you see, Jinbei came in the previous chapter with the Croquembouche. How easy would that have been for Jinbei to stick sea salt in that? You remember what happened with Moria and the whole shadows, and how Luffy, the rest of the crew was able to regain control of the fight and take some of the zombies down because of the sea salt that led them. So maybe Jinbei could have done the same thing with this. So again, I don't know about anyone else, but those cravings of her seems like the biggest weakness. And given the fact there's already been predictions like she's already been hypnotized, I've got to agree with that given the fact what we've seen recently. And what happens now, because they arrive at Whole Cake Island, and I'll save the whole thing about Pedro, but one more thing about, obviously now he's still with the crew by the time they reach Whole Cake Island. We already know where the Poneglyph is because Jinbei brought that. So what we don't know is if that is the Road Poneglyph, and like I said, for time constraints and for things to keep moving on, I think that will be the Road Poneglyph, but we'll have to wait and see. And like I said, even if Big Mom doesn't have the ability to produce cookies or sweets, somebody in the Charlotte family does, because we know the whole cake is pretty much a castle made out of dessert. So that's once again devil fruit related. And since we've been introduced to certain people in the Charlotte family who have the ability to, and speaking of nature like abilities, here's another thing. Barney technically has the ability, even though it hasn't been confirmed yet, although we can kind of put two and two together. She does have the ability to actually affect nature because she can affect an age. She has the age fruit, right? Which is technically a form of nature because you can age somebody in a matter of instance. So maybe that's a clarification as well. But and technically, materialization is kind of like the same thing. Even though it's like cookies and sweets, it's still materialization, regardless of who it is in the Charlotte home that's doing all this. But there's still some mysteries about Big Mom and her abilities. I'm going to do as much of a discussion as I can another time. But for now, it's obviously very quick pacing in this chapter. We're already at Whole Cake Island, given the fact that it was quick. But I think what happens, and the reason it's quick, is because the setup's there, and we still have the Osanji, and we still have the flashback that we need to see soon, rather than later. And when the Straw Hats arrive at the Whole Cake Island, somebody is already waiting there. So I wonder who that is. Could it be Jinbei? Could it be Peckham's? Who knows? But we're gonna have to wait until next week. That's the chapter in a nutshell. But let me know what you guys thought in that chapter down below. What do you make of Pedro and his designs to go look for Rob Poneglyph? I personally don't trust him, but maybe you guys do. That's just my opinion. Let me know yours down below. But that's good. This review. Give it a thumbs up if you appreciate. If you enjoyed it, I appreciate that as well. Comment, rate, subscribe. I'll catch you guys in One Piece. Bye.